Welcome to the Quantum Empath. I'm your host, Kelley Michelle, intuitive guide, alchemist, and reality hacker. This is a space where esoteric knowledge, ancient wisdom, personal development, and quantum physics meet to help you shift your frequency, break old patterns, and step into the life your soul came here to live. Let's expand your awareness, upgrade your energy, and create your dream reality, one episode at a time. Let's begin. Welcome, you found me. Oh my goodness. Oh, I just know the algorithm. I know the frequency alignment. I know what I've been told by my guides. And they said, get out there, girl. You're still playing too small. I did the thing. I jumped through my fears. I opened a business. And Spirit said, great. We will support you. And they have been. And then they said, listen, you're playing too small. You're thinking too small. Listen. Your voice is the medicine. You are the medicine. It was never about the wellness center. It was never about the quantum healing chamber. It was never about that. It was that we needed to get you out of your comfort zone so far and have you put everything on the line to show you that the divine is real, that we are real, that we have your back. But guess what? They said you're still thinking too small. You have people all over the world. You have a collective out there that when they hear your voice, they will say, oh my goodness, she feels like home. She feels like someone I've known before. She feels safe. I feel seen. And this message has been coming up over and over again. And I just keep ignoring it because I don't want to believe that it's that big of a deal. And so they said, it's enough. And they sent me into another timeline. I said, okay, what do I need to know? And they said, get a microphone. Okay. They said, the Quantum Empath. I said, there's no way the Quantum Empath is available. I went on the podcast search and looked up the Quantum Empath, and it was available. I looked on TikTok and it was available. This is 2026. How many millions of people are on TikTok, and how on God's green earth is the Quantum Empath still available? It's almost like God reserved it for me. Then I go on Instagram and it's available on Instagram. The only place it wasn't available is the website, but that is a really cheesy website that really doesn't go anywhere. And so they said, don't worry about that one. You'll probably be able to buy them out at some point. But YouTube, I'm the Quantum Empath 33. But when you type in Quantum Empath, I'm the channel that comes up. So I feel like my team said, Do you not see that this is for you? Do you not see what we have aligned for you? 444 on the timer. And they said, are you divinely guided? Are you going to trust us? And are you going to listen? So I go to buy the microphone and I'm at the light, and the car in front of me, the license plate says 66. And then the car right next to it, the license plate says 66. So I'm like, what the heck? Pull into the parking lot and I park next to a car and they have 555. I'm just going, oh my goodness, Spirit. I didn't stop to look at what those meant or what the message was, but I just knew there was a message there. So I have just been thinking about how I want to format this podcast. And what I want you to know about me is that for 9 years, I operated a house cleaning business. And at the time when I started that business, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had 2 kids. They were 5 and 7 or so when I decided that it was time to move on with my life in a different way. My marriage had been flatlined for several years, and I was feeling very resentful. I was feeling burnout. And when my ex at the time said, you need to go back to work, I wasn't contributing because I was acting as a full-time mom. I was doing some side work. I was doing graphic design and little odd jobs here and there, creating logos and print jobs and stuff like that. I loved it. But I also was taking care of my son, who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I had been diving down the rabbit holes of toxins in our home and toxins in our food and food coloring. And I thought, okay, I got rid of all the candles. I upgraded my cleaning products. I started eating really clean foods. I was eating organic. It would take me hours to go grocery shopping because I was always reading labels and making sure that I was bringing home stuff that I felt was safe to serve my family. And when he was diagnosed, I immediately went to a naturopath and was looking at trying to maybe preserve his pancreas while it was still in that honeymoon phase, they call it. And we were waiting to get in with the endocrinologist, and I was being told that, yeah, we can help you, but when I went to the doctor, they said, there's no way, there's no cure, this is ridiculous, he needs to get on a pump, he needs to be on insulin. And I thought, I have to do what's best for my child. That's what we did. And I didn't spend the money to pursue any of the naturopath avenues after that. And this is 10 years ago. And I have a vision that one day my son will be cured and my nephews will be cured from type 1 diabetes. And so that was probably back in 2014, 2015, that journey started. And then in 2017, I was told that I needed to contribute, and I started a cleaning company, but I based it all on non-toxic cleaning products and safe Castile soap and pumice stones and essential oils. And I think the worst thing in my kit was probably Dawn dish detergent, which I would use for tubs and toilets and sinks and stuff like that. And I did that for 9 years, and that entire time I consumed podcasts. And I was learning so much at the time. I was learning about attachment styles. I was learning about relationships. I was learning about codependency and narcissistic relationships. And I just started learning, getting to know myself. It backfired in a way because it empowered me to understand that I didn't have to live the way that I had been living. I didn't have to live the story that I had created for myself. And so when my business was finally taking care of itself, I decided that I would leave my husband and we would move out. And I worked on my own. I supported us with a little bit of child support, and we moved into a little dark 1980s vintage or so little apartment, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. And right after I met my neighbor who lived, her door was 5 inches from my door. We shared a wall. And she was a single mom with 2 boys and this bright light who was instantly a friend. And the amount of support that we gave each other for those couple years that I lived next door to her was, I feel like, sent from God, sent from the divine. We would share our food and put meals together. We'd watch movie night. She would take care of my boys. I would take care of her boys. We were delving into the dating world together, talking about all the crazy journeys that we were experiencing in the dating world. And let me tell you, after I got divorced, I went a little wild. And I was like a 20-year-old boy, except I was a mid-40s-year-old woman. And truth be told, I thought I was empowering myself because I was so sexually free. In hindsight, I realized that was me looking for validation outside of myself and me looking for somebody else to fill my own cup. So I did that for a few years, and eventually we were able to move into a new apartment that had been built, and it was low income, but I was still spending about a little over $1,500 a month. It was a 3-bedroom, but the apartment complex was super loud. And when we first moved in, we were one of the first buildings to move in. But when that apartment complex filled up, it got really gnarly. People walking their dogs and not picking up after them, and garbage, and the pool was overcrowded, and the garbage was always overflowing at the dumpster. And it just it was loud. And I had thought, gosh, I just would love to be in a home. I would love to be in a home. And at the time, my son had this friend who was living up this mountain road in this beautiful neighborhood. And I always used to say, every time I would take him to his friends, I would say, one day I would love a shitty little house on a big piece of land. And fast forward a couple years later, I had been saying this for several years. And one day I ran into an old coworker who found out that I was a cleaner. And she said, I have this rental that I need help with. I need to get rid of this tenant and maybe you can help me clean it. And I said, yeah, tell me where it's at. And she gives me the address and I find out it is right next door to where my son's best friend lived. And I was like, of course. And it was a shitty little house, meaning the paint's chipping off. It's a 1970s vintage, funny maze. It's got all kinds of different flooring and all kinds of different finishes and old oak cabinets. And it's fine. It's beautiful. It's had work done, but they're from the 90s, right? And so I said, oh, absolutely. I want to help. I'm actually even interested in seeing if I could rent it. And fast forward a couple months, and here I am, moved out of the apartment and renting this house that is 20 minutes from the ski resort that I ski at. And it's next door to my son's best friend. So I'm on 2.5 acres. It's beautiful. I have deer in my yard all the time and rabbits, and I can't really grow a garden because I don't have anything fenced, but I'm creating this amazing life for myself. Still cleaning, still listening to podcasts. And then, I need to backtrack just a minute because while I was in the apartment, that's when COVID hit, and I had been trying to grow my cleaning business, and I had an employee, and she was something else, just sassy, and I was such a pushover at the time that she would just walk all over me, and I would say, do you want to clean the bathroom or do you want to clean the bedroom? And she would say, I'll do the bedroom, you can do the bathroom. And she was calling the shots because I was such a pushover that I was like, oh, I don't care which one I do. I loved cleaning so much that I didn't care, but it did rub me the wrong way, the way she would talk to me. And so when COVID closed us down, I let her go, and I had about a month of time, I think it was, that I was so bored. I started going for multiple walks a day. I started reading, and I was also not able to date. Nobody was going on dates at the time. And so I was forced into being alone for the first time in maybe my life. My kids would have a week at their dad's and then they would be with me, but I would usually on my weeks off be out hanging out with friends and going on dates and going to bars and just hooping it up. I was having fun. And instead, I was having to spend time alone. And honestly, I feel like I know this was a huge launching pad for many people who started their awakening in 2020. So I would consider myself part of that group. And I think what ended up happening is that because I was able to dedicate so much time during that period to going within, that I just ended up having multiple experiences. I would listen to podcasts all day, documentaries, reading books. I was going down all the conspiracy theory rabbit holes. And I remember I would just 6 hours a day, 4 hours a day, I would listen to all this stuff. And I was this prepper. I was buying gold and silver. I was warning people. I was like, oh my God, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. We're all going to die. I was in that patriotism. I was all about church, being a Christian. I was really proud of that. And all that is behind me now, but all of that is because Spirit has a way to wake us up. And what I learned down the road is whether you are an activist or a conspiracy theorist, you're woke or you're awakening, those are the game board. That's getting on the game board of life. That's the point in my journey where I was trapped, if you will, for a couple years. I was listening to the doom and gloom, the fear, the hate, the division, and there were so many areas where I knew one side was being told certain things, the other side was being told certain things, and then we were being taught to not like each other without even really understanding each other, like real friends. I had a friend in my friend group who went on Facebook and was bashing veterans. And I was so offended because I am a veteran that I unfriended her. I blocked her. And I was like, I don't ever want to see her again. But I don't know why she felt that way. I never really looked into why would she say that? And I never asked her, like, why would you say that? Do you feel that way about me? And she probably would have said no. But I was grouping myself in with a particular identity and it offended me. And I think that's what that polarity does, that left and right polarity does. And so I was always trying to wake up my mom and tell her, don't do this, don't do that, Mom. It's sort of, and she's, how do you know? How do you know that your side is right? And I said, because Mom, the evidence. And she's like, yeah, but what about like the way they manipulate videos? What if it's that? And I was like, Mom, no, this stuff's real. This stuff's real. I know. But then I started seeing through the veil. I was like, oh, that's interesting. There's a train crash that's exactly like a movie that just came out. And I wonder, is it possible? You have to be curious to be on my show, but is it possible to make a movie and then have these people be your extras in the movie? And then they are thinking that they're acting as an extra in a movie, but then it's being used as propaganda against us to think that's truly happening when it was actually maybe just paid actors. I started finding a lot of stuff like that. And it made me question everything. And I thought, okay, is this true? And why do I believe it's true? And is it possible that this is propaganda? And I had heard about this thing that was signed into law that we were able to have propaganda used against us in the media. And I looked at it and I saw it to be true. And I thought, okay, it's being used to divide us. It's being used to make us not like each other and to keep us in fear and buy stuff. Get gold, get silver, so many things. I started seeing the yellow brick road, the path of gold, and finding your heart and finding your courage and using your brain and seeing the man behind the curtain for what it was, okay? That's what happened. And through this I switched gears and I turned off all the news. I stopped following all the podcasts that were spewing fear and hate and division. My nervous system couldn't handle it anymore. And in 2021, I went through having my chakras aligned, and maybe I had a breaking point right then and there. But when I was done, my vision was so clear. My channel, everything was so vivid and bright that day. I was like, oh my God, I need to do this. I went and ordered some tuning forks. I started doing research about sound healing. I started learning Eileen McCusick's biofield tuning. I started practicing on my friends. And I was working with the biofield, and I was finding stagnant energy in people's auras. And I kept getting feedback from people on how accurate it was. They were like, wow, I can't believe you found that. People I didn't know. And I could feel it with my hand. I could hear it with the tuning fork. And I thought, gosh, there's really something to this. And so it was cool, but I was still playing a little small. And Spirit said, you need to be doing more of this. I was in my apartment at the time. You need to be doing more. And so when this house came along, it had a separate entrance with this little area that was adorable for a little waiting room. And then if you walked through that room and down a couple stairs, I had this other room off the back of my house that was where I set up my sound healing studio. And I was offering sound baths and biofield tuning, and I was helping people clear trapped emotions, and I was using Grabavoy numbers, and I was using quantum healing codes, and I was helping so many people. And Spirit kept telling me, you're playing too small. You're playing too small. I was still cleaning houses, but I was doing this on the side, and I'm not that busy because of this location. I probably need to be in a commercial space. And I would see that the clicks on my website they were up in the 60s to 70s range, people looking for sound healing. But then I think because I didn't have a storefront, that it was scaring people away. So I end up meeting a friend through my practice of intuitive work and whatnot, and she and I are instant friends, soul sisters. I knew her immediately. Same channel, same everything. And actually most people that come to me are on my channel. Spirit knows me and sends me the right people. And so she and I became fast friends, and in January of 2025, she said, we need to bring this quantum healing chamber to where we're at. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And we got the ball rolling. She's a little firecracker. She does not waste time. She hired a business consultant. We were getting our corporation formed. We were buying all the books. We were doing all the conference calls, and we were writing our business plan. And in March, she decided to move to another state. And she said, I'm feeling called to go a different direction. I need to leave the state. And you keep going. You do what you got to do. I trust. And it was my baby to either nurture or toss. Write it off, the $3,000 maybe that I had invested in the process, which for me and my money traumas was a lot of money for me. And that day I had scheduled a hike with a friend of mine who I met when I first came here, and we've been longtime friends, 20 plus years. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm in a funk, but my business partner just changed her mind and I don't know what to do. And she said, you have to keep going. Like, you have to just keep going. And I was like, oh my God, but it's so scary. But I opened up my IRA that week, and my IRA had done really well for itself because I had invested everything in gold and silver. And so I'm like, oh my God, I could actually use this surplus to put a down payment on my equipment. And so I get busy rewriting my business plan, as one would when their partner leaves. And I changed it. But I identified all the areas that I wanted, my location. I identified I wanted a big room. I wanted a little room. I wanted a seating area. I wanted big windows. I wanted sunshine. I wanted a certain location. And the space that I ended up with is all of that. And it's tied in to the two crossroads that I said I wanted my location to be. This road that I'm on touches both. So weird. So I was like, of course it's for me. I sign the lease, my equipment comes in, and I've gone through, and I've had all my friends have gone through the program that wanted to support me. And then I've been getting stragglers here and there, and they are my frequency people. They are the ones who are going through the spiritual awakening. They are the ones who are gifted. A lot of them came in that way. They used to see things as kids. And because of the fact that society, the 3D matrix, will shut our gifts down, telling us that we're crazy, or they give us fluoride and close up our pineal gland, or they keep us distracted on devices and not really paying attention. They keep us in fear. They keep us in scarcity and lack and a program, basically. And the people that come to see me are like, I see through the matrix and my gifts are coming online, but what is going on here? And of course, Spirit is sending me these people, and I've had many angels who came in, had a session, paid for 2 other sessions, and have not been back. I've had checks show up in the mail that I wasn't expecting. I have had a bank account that I forgot about be shown to me that made it so that I could pay my rent. And so what Spirit was telling me the other day, and the hard truth that I needed to come in with and understand, is I did the thing. I stepped through my deepest fear to create a space where I am doing my deepest work. But what Spirit was telling me the other day was, you are the medicine. You are the thing. This is a tool. This was, yes, always meant for me. But that you're still playing small. When are you going to listen, Miss Little Divinely Guided, hiding in your little corner? They said, your people are everywhere, and you know your reach. You know you came here to find your people who will remember and get them on their path. We are sending you the star seeds. We are sending you the light workers, the empaths, the ones who came in sensitive, the ones who are the black sheep, the ones whose families think they're crazy, the self-healers of the world, the ones who come in gifted, knowing spirit, feeling spirit, and you're going to hide in your little corner? We reserved a place for you, and it's called the Quantum Empath. I had a reel that went viral. Viral, like 90,000 plus views. And it didn't have my face in it. But the pattern I saw, and the pattern that Spirit wanted me to recognize, is my voice gives reach. My voice is reaching people who connect. And Spirit keeps telling me, what else do we need to show you to get you started? I posted another video, and I don't get very many views on my Instagram channel that I use for my business. I get a couple hundred views, but this one day I posted a video about empathy and empaths, and that thing was up to 800 views within an hour. That was not for celebration. That was for guidance from Spirit to say, your people are empaths. They come in with these gifts. Sometimes they shut them down, and other times they just absorb, people please, zero boundaries, low self-worth, codependent. But the healed empath, the healed sensitivity, the healed gifts that arise when you learn how to work with the energy of your true soul essence. That is where Spirit wants me to remind you that your superpower is all inside of you, and that we just need to find a way for you to harness it into your gift. And Spirit has said there are so many of them that they need you. They need to see you do this to believe in themselves. And Spirit knows this is not coming from my ego. Spirit knows I don't care how many people listen to my videos, see my reels, come and support my business. What Spirit keeps showing me is your people need you. And I don't mean that like I'm a guru. Please don't mistake that. They've shown me you're the big sister. You're the one who went through life school and learned all of these things by studying esoteric wisdom and quantum physics and personal development and new age, near-death experiences and soul theories, Dolores Cannon, and my library of information is so vast. 9 years of learning has given me a lot of broad perspectives on the world. And because of my pattern recognition and my ability to hear the message from multiple people and recognize the pattern and then put the tools to work, they said, you're going to go and you're going to drop information, and the right people will hear the information that they need to hear. Welcome. If you've found this podcast, I believe, and it is my intention, that there will be something here for you. One of my most exciting things is my signature program called the Empowered Empath. This was given to me after a week that I did breath work and a quantum healing session and a sound bath. And it's 6 weeks of energetic clearing. And we start with the nervous system, and then we go through the chakras, and we do some really deep chakra clearing. Then we clear codes and trapped emotions out of the ancestral line. We do the same with clearing codes and emotions out of your past life. And then we go into clearing your current life. And then we integrate everything. This 6-week program it's live. It has to be live because it cannot be compressed. But what I know for sure through quantum physics is this technology is scalar waves. It's based on Tesla technology and scalar waves, and it travels everywhere. Just like the sound of my voice is traveling to you now, Spirit wanted me to be the quantum empath, turning your sensitivity into your superpower. I love you. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you next time.